Something that changed everything for me, even in my communication with my children, with my family, was it is what you make it mean. And I was like, how many times is like, Nate said something, or, my kids have said something, and I'm making it mean something that it wasn't even in their radar, right? To even, like, that wasn't what they were. It was me picking that up and making it, like Fran saying, making the story. So, and other people do that to our words as well. It is what they make it mean to them.
Welcome to today's episode where we're unveiling the secrets of powerful communication techniques that can skyrocket your network marketing business. In this podcast, we're not just discussing communication, we're exploring how to leverage it as a tool for profound connection, influence, and business growth in network marketing. If you're excited about improving your communication skills, hit like, subscribe, and share your biggest communication challenge in the comments below. All right, Beaches, have you struggled with communication in networking? Just share any stories that you've had.
Plenty. So I'm naturally an introvert, and people sometimes will look at me now and say, oh, you were introvert, assuming that I'm not now, but I'm still an introvert. And not only having conversations with the strangers is very uncomfortable for me, but also having conversations or starting conversations with people actually that I do know also is not comfortable for me. So just kind of give you perspective that I'm very introverted. And I thought that because I'm introverted, it's going to be very hard to build a network marketing business because it seems like you have to be this very social, very outgoing, talking to everyone and anyone. So I thought that being in network marketing, you have to be this outgoing and extroverted because you have to talk to everyone and anyone without prejudging them. So basically, your communicating skills is going to make it or break you. I felt like I didn't have any communication skill, but being introverted and not having communication skills is totally two different things. What kind of like kept me going is that I actually realized that 80% of all people out there are introverted. Yes, we can be situational extroverts where like, yeah, I can be outgoing when I have to, but I can't operate like this all the time. So it's okay to be an introvert and not have all the outgoingness going, but you have to learn those communication skills. And for me, also one of the barriers is the language barrier, because I know I have an accent and I know that sometimes when you're bilingual, your brain doesn't catch up or your tongue doesn't catch up with your brain. And sometimes you say the wrong words, or sometimes you mean one word, but the other one comes out. So I thought it was my weakness that because I have an accent and because English is thus my first language, it's going to be hard for me to attract people to me. Later on, I realized that it's actually my power. Even unintentionally, I started attracting people whose English was the second language because they were looking at me, showing up on social media, doing videos and making posts and thinking, well, if she can do it, I can do it too. So very unintentionally, I started attracting a very large foreign language speaking audience. And that's because they could relate to me. So I quickly realized that not only being introverted is also my power, but knowing another language and having an accent is also my attractor factor.
Yeah. And one thing I want to add is like, in order to reach the top of network marketing, like you have to be an effective communicator. You're communicating and you're doing things above board, but communication goes two ways. And so there's been times where like I look back and I'm like, I communicated everything like right. I did everything right. We did everything like above board. And yeah, you still managed to piss people off, right?
We did.
I know you did. And so it was like, when it comes to communication, you have to understand that that goes two ways. Learn from situations. And if people aren't willing to like communicate back, know that like that's not your fault.
Communicate back in an effective
way.
Instead of avoiding conversations, hard conversations, or is diving all the way into emotion and like spilling all the judgment and everything out that,
like there's been people that I look and I'm like, what's the energy that's going to go into trying to have this conversation? And if it's going to do more harm to me, like, and in my energy, then good. Like, it's okay to be like, you know what? You're not open to communicating. And that's what we ended up doing with, a couple people on our team where we were just like, you know what? You're not even willing to like communicate with us about
at
this.
the end of the day, communication is the basis of all of how you're going to build your business, but you also can't control other people, right? So you can do all the communication. Like, for instance, if you're, a top leader right now and you've got maybe team members that you're like, they were all gung ho, or, they were like, and they were in, and then all of a sudden they disappeared. One thing that I learned in my process of building, my large team was that I needed to not just communicate to them when it was time to do an order, or communicate to them, when things were happening, but I also needed to communicate to them that I cared about them. Like building that relationship piece, because sometimes it can be like, I don't know, implied, but they don't actually know. Does that make sense? Like you're like, so you come off different.
In their mind, they're like, oh, she's only messaged me anytime I need to place an order to get my auto ship or whatever that is, when, you're talking to them maybe on meetings, but they're looking back through their messages and they're like, the only time she's actually sent me a message is for this. At the end of the month.
At the end of the month.
So don't be that person is thing, right? And I remember, Kat, when she first got into the team and, she was trying to build her business and she was doing different things and that kind of thing, but she also did it on her pace, right? And I didn't want to be in her face. I didn't want to be bugging her about it, this, that, and the other, right? And so, I would just send her a quick message. Hey, Kat, is there anything that I can help you with, that would help you build your business? Like
That's actually probably one of the main reasons I'm still here.
Right.
I'll tell you. So Brandy's sending me that message every once in a while. Probably one of the main reasons I'm still here, because I would get discouraged from not getting results from my actions, and I would think actually to quit. And every time that thought enters my brain that, well, maybe it's not for me, maybe it's not good enough, maybe it's time to just call it quits and forget about it, she will send me a message. It never failed. I was like, how does she know? How? She would say, Kat, is there any way I can help you to build your business? And I'm like, holy crap, Brandy freaking Shaver wants to help me to build my business. I better get that shit together and start doing something. Or use her time wisely, right? So I can get where I want to get. So yeah, that type of communication pretty much helped me to be still here.
Well, I think one of the things too, as somebody that's built a large team, is you have to remember that these people are going to go through their ups and downs, right? So you've got to let them know with care and concern that you actually care about them above and beyond them being in your business. Yeah. Like if I were to send Kat a message and be like, hey, it's the end of the month and I need you to place an order to Rank Advance, she'd be like, what the? But if I send her a message, Kat, you told me you wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and I see you've done this, what else can I help you do? Is there someone else that I can help you talk to? Is there, can I do a presentation for you? Can we do a customer blitz online, right? Like just trying to help her brain.
Boy, I put that offer into good use.
We had a lot of fun because we were working together and it built, the relationship. But, just because somebody comes into your team and, maybe they're not doing, a ton of volume right now, still love on them and, walk with the walkers, but run with the runners, but then care about all the people because they want to be part of something.
But one thing that you said there that is key is you were focused on her goals.
Yeah, not mine.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think you'll find so many leaders, so many network marketing leaders are so focused on their own rank and their own goals that they will message team and say, how can I help you? And do you have any more orders that you can grab or whatever? It's not about the team members, but it's about them and them hitting their next rung.
Yeah. Well, and I used to hear, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And it really didn't make sense to me at first, right? It was like, that doesn't make sense to me. How is me helping Carrie get what she wants? But I need Adrian and I need Carrie and I need Fran and I need Kat to all be doing that at the same time to get what I want, right? But it builds upon itself and it's kind of like compound interest, right? Carrie starts getting what she wants and we just continue to do that and help her grow as a leader. Then we, do it over here with Adrian, work on myself as a leader, right? So it all compounds and works out eventually.
Plus, when people in the team seeing all this action happening and everything happening around them, I think, damn, I better get my ass into gear and do something because I don't want to be left behind. I want to be part of that.
And yeah, communication at events is important too. Like if you have your team come, I know for me, a lot of uplines and things, it was always based on like how much volume I had done or whatever. And so you didn't necessarily get to be around the people that, you wanted to be around. But then I've had other leaders in, different company that it didn't matter how much volume you were bringing. They wanted to see you at the event. They wanted to make sure that you were good, that you'd said hello, right? Like all those things. People want to be brought in and surrounded as a support system.
And I think with along those lines too, though, is setting boundaries, healthy boundaries within the communication, because you also don't want to be constantly on a Zoom call every day with the same person because they like just want to be your friend. I know that sounds bad, but it's like,
it is a business.
it is a business, right?
Yeah.
You have to have boundaries because you have to protect your time
And your burnout.
in order to serve your team, everybody, plus the life that you have outside of it, right? So I think also establishing boundaries to where, yes, I care about you guys. I've reached out. Like, how can I support you this month within your business? Knowing that the door's open, I'm here, but also it's not to be taken advantage of, being my messenger 24/7, because we also have a life and kind of need to like shelve some of those things sometimes so that we're not getting burnt out and we're not spending all of our time, you know, on the phone. And a lot of us want to help serve. And so we could fall into just serving anybody and everybody and then being like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? I need to create some healthy boundaries when it comes to that.
And I think that comes back to healthy communication with people, right? For instance, like if you have a weekly meeting, you're jumping on the meeting with those people, they're expected to show up to that, right? One of my really good friends, she always says, well, I don't want to play tennis by myself. If I've sent Kat that message and she didn't like actually respond back, that kind of is my key that, you know, right now isn't where she's at. It doesn't mean I don't message her back, you know, and check up in her and make sure she's okay or whatever. But it also means she's not ready to play tennis yet. So
What makes somebody an effective communicator?
I think conflict resolution is something you're going to deal with in network marketing. You're going to have different things that are going to come up and you have to have hard conversations sometimes. And so learning how to do the hard conversations without the emotion. And sometimes that means you have to push off the meeting until your emotion comes down.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've all been in a situation where like the emotions are high and then things get said and, you know, all of that. It's just easier to and when you effective communicate with people, like let's say Adrian and I had a beef about something and I'm super emotional about it and can't talk about it. I'd be like, Adrian, right now I'm super emotional, right? Like, can we talk about this in a few days?
Yeah.
And then she doesn't feel like I'm ignoring her or that I'm dismissing her or that, you know, anything like that. So
In the same breath, I also want to add that so often we make up stories in our
oh, absolutely.
Yes.
You know, there are no facts behind it. There's no data. There's nothing to support it. And it may be with maybe body language. It may have been the way somebody said something that you may be in a more vulnerable state at the time and you take it to mean what it didn't mean.
And I think body language does play a huge part in that, because if you're like trying to like say a genuine, heartfelt, let's say it's an apology over something, but you've got resting bitch face and there's no like care and concern in your face, right? They're like, well, Carrie doesn't care. Like she, you know, like she's just saying things. Your words aren't matching your body or your face. And so, I mean, Brandy jokes all the time. She's like, I need a face coach.
I do. I have RBF ads.
It's like the tone of your voice, the energy that you put in, your facial expressions, those type of things go a long ways in conflict resolution. I mean, saying a sorry, like, you know, like those type of things, which seems like saying a sorry when you've done wrong. That seems so basic,
like
right?
Right.
And owning it, but you'd be surprised how many people like will not say sorry.
Or they come up with like excuses.
Or it's just excuses. Yeah. Like if you've done something or you didn't even mean to offend somebody, just saying like, I'm sorry that came across that way, right? Like it's just owning your stuff.
Yeah. I think something that changed everything for me, even in my communication with my children, with my family, was it is what you make it mean. And I was like, how many times is like Nate said something or, you know, my kids have said something and I'm making it mean something that it wasn't even in their radar, right? To even like, that wasn't what they were. It was me picking that up and making it, like Fran saying, you know, making the story. So, and other people do that to our words as well. It is what they make it mean to them.
And I think another effective communication skill is, you know, having that confidence to, I will just say, I'm always like the straight up one. If it's in my brain, it's going to come out of my mouth. And so I think it's having the confidence to like speak your truth on how you're feeling or in that moment and not worry about, am I going to offend somebody? Am I going to hurt someone's feelings? Because that's the reason why most people don't speak up on their behalf is they're worried about who's it going to hurt in the path. So therefore, I don't say anything. I'm going to harbor all this stuff. It's going to build up till I explode, or you create resentment within your leadership, with your customers, with whatever, all parts of your business. And so I think having the confidence to speak up for yourself, to communicate communicate like what you're thinking in that moment, like that's what's going to be more effective than you worried about what happens if I speak up, what's the fallout going to be, because then the fallout isn't on you. The fallout's on how that person is receiving that information, which isn't on you, right? It's on them. So have the confidence to speak up how you're feeling, what's in your mind, like what's happening in your mind for a reason, right? It's there. Maybe it's been itching at you for a while and you just got to put it out there, because a lot of the times where there is a lot of rifts or miscommunications, so to speak, or whatever ideas that we come up in our brain on how someone took that, what they looked like, all those things, is all because we had these stories in our head or whatever's in our head and we did not put it out there because we were afraid to hurt someone's feelings or maybe create conflict when it doesn't need to be conflict. I mean, just because two people have different views doesn't necessarily need to be a conflict, right? You can have adult discussions. And I think that that's really kind of what holds a lot of people back, is they're so worried about how it's going to be received. So they just don't say anything. And then it just ends up snowballing, getting worse and worse and worse.
Effective communication is the cornerstone of a thriving network marketing business. And by mastering these strategies, you're not just selling products, you're building lasting relationships and a loyal customer base. So if you're ready to discover the secrets to social selling and attract high-quality prospects, check out our Social Recruiting Secrets course. It's linked in the description below. We'll see you there.
Yes.
And so often we'll think, well, Adrian's got a beef with me, right? Sorry, it's not on you.
Fire me.